That is so nice of you to have me here today. But I'm so excited to be here with all of you, and especially in August, our membership month. And we have such a great crowd here. We have Haresh, who is actually the current membership chair for the Rotary International Membership Growth Committee. And we have Director Patrick Eakes, who is a large person behind the movement that is the MAP program in your zones, zones 33 and 34, your zone pair. So we have all kinds of great expertise here, probably more expertise than I've seen in one area. I know Haresh is always thinking about a membership, and Patrick participates with the North American directors once a month to discuss membership issues. So we have a great crowd. So please feel free to ask questions all the way around. We don't have to wait to the end. If you have a question, just go ahead and ask it. But in keeping with our president's why, what, and how, what we're going to be focusing on today to start the discussion is why people join Rotary and Rotaract, because they're different reasons, and why people stay in Rotary and Rotaract, and that's also for different reasons. So I have a little bit of PowerPoint I'm going to share with all of you. Let's see. Can you all see my PowerPoint presentation?
I got
Good.
Yeah.
So the information that we're going to deal with today is information that comes from surveys that Rotary takes. Rotary takes surveys of its members. It takes surveys of people outside of Rotary. It surveys leaders. And we have 3 surveys that we relied on the data for today's presentation: an all-member survey, a programs and offerings survey, and a leadership survey. So what we're going to be talking about is the numbers. Now, what we have to remember is this is an overgeneralization of why people join, why people stay, why people leave, but it's different for every single member. And we have to be hyper-personalized when it comes to keeping our members in the Rotary Club of Montego Bay. So we have to ask them, do surveys of our members to see what makes them happy so we can keep them staying. But overall, why do people join Rotary? There's 4 main reasons. There's local service, there's international service, there's friendship and fellowship, and there's professional reasons. Now it's going to differ for different ages. It's going to be different for different genders. It's going to be different for Rotaractors and Rotarian, and it's going to be different in different areas of the world. So we're going to discuss all these things. But first, let's start off about why Rotarians join and stay. Now, I think if they ever do another study, and they will, they're likely not going to, Rotary International probably won't ask the question anymore, all the above, because too many people answer all the above. But in general, why Rotarians join is for community service, for friendship, international service, and professional connections. And most people join because they were asked. So one of the things we can do in the Rotary Club of Montego Bay is ask our friends, our family members to join, ask the people we work with, the people we work out with, the people we worship with, our neighbors. But when we ask them why they stay, it changes a little bit. Friendship is more of a reason to stay than when people join. So you join for friendship, but then they really stay for friendship. And, this really goes along with what the numbers and membership show too. We lose about 10% of our members within the first year of them joining, and we lose 50% within the first 3 years of them joining. But after 50%, they're like all of us. We have our friends, the people that we, our doctors, our dentists, our car repair people, they end up being our Rotarian friends. International service, people usually join more for community service, but that number for international service creeps up as time goes on. So why do members leave? The number one reason why Rotarians leave is because of club culture. It's often said that people don't leave Rotary International, they leave a club. And that's why it's so important for Rotary leaders, for all of us to let people know that, yes, you were invited by one person and you joined a club, and you might not know anything about Rotary but what your club does, but we can let people know there's other clubs. And there might be another club that's a better fit for them. If you meet in the afternoon like you do, that works for some people, but some people can't leave their jobs. So maybe they would be more comfortable going to a Rotary meeting before work or after work. Now, other reasons cited for Rotarians leaving are unmet expectations. We promised them something and we didn't deliver. You know, it's interesting when you go on our website, you see all these wonderful things about Rotary, and they're all true, but they're not all true in every single club. And if someone wants to leave because of those unmet expectations, let's see if we can get them to actually join another club. Or if your district doesn't have a district-wide e-club, that's a great place for people who no longer can make an in-person meeting but still want to be part of Rotary. That's a good thing for your district to start, or your club can start that if you want to. And financial and time commitments. Now, some people say that's not a real reason for Rotarians to leave. I think sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. It has a lot to do with the value proposition. If people come expecting something and they are actually getting what they expected, they'll stay. If they're not happy, then they walk away. Now, club culture is interesting because that is how the club operates. It's how things are done in your club. If your club culture is good, it's a source of strength. People stay. You have lots of members. You're doing great projects. You're giving money to the foundation. You're raising money for polio. But if the culture is not good, then people leave. So you want to make sure that your culture is good. And if it's not so good, you can change it. You can take surveys and you can find out what people like. Do they like when we meet, how we meet, where we meet? Do they like our socials, our service projects? And if there's something they don't like, well, first of all, they appreciate being asked. But if you actually make one of those changes, then they feel like they're being listened to and they're more happy with their environment. And if the culture isn't right for them, a culture in another club may be right. Or maybe they could form their own club and you can help them do that. Now, the great news about Rotarians is most of them are satisfied. When we look at the data, 87% are satisfied. 84% are satisfied with the club service and community service. 66 are happy with the youth service. And for international service, it's a little bit lower at 60%. And vocational is the lowest at 58%. But overall, our Rotarians are happy. That makes sense. They're still there, right? They haven't left. Um, and when we talk about surveys, does Madam President, does your club do surveys?
Yes, we do. We actually did a club health check last month, and we're still delivering those results. And this month, we're about to send out our general satisfaction survey.
That's wonderful. You know, most clubs, when we ask that question, most clubs and districts, they don't do surveys. And when we ask them when they do the surveys, most answer they do exit surveys. Well, exit surveys, really, the studies show, and President Stephanie and I have done deep research into this, and most studies show that when you ask somebody why they're leaving, they don't give you an honest answer why they're leaving. And even if they did, you can't change the culture quickly enough to keep that person. So I really like what your club is doing it now, and those are two great surveys to do. So, 90% of Rotarians and Rotaractors say they feel comfortable. Now, remember that club experience that wraps around everything that we talk about in membership. You know, we talk about attracting members, we talk about engaging our current members, talk about starting new clubs, but that club culture wraps around everything. So if 90% are happy with Rotary, that's great. 89% said they form meaningful personal relationships. And that's why we stay. We stay for those friends in Rotary. You know, Paul Harris has that quote that Rotary was founded on friendship and no firmer foundation could have been formed. That is so true. We stay in Rotary because of our friends. Um, and about 80% say they're comfortable with finding friends in Rotary. Um, and most of our Rotarians and Rotaractors, 80%, are satisfied with the club meetings and enjoy our meetings. Now, there are certain programs that add value to Rotary. Now, let's be clear, adding value, these things don't keep people in, it just keeps them more satisfied. And if they're more satisfied, they stay, but they don't stay because of one particular program. But Youth Exchange, if any of you have ever gone to a program with Youth Exchange, do you have Youth Exchange in your club?
Currently, we don't. We
Okay.
don't do any.
Yeah. And is that and do you have a reason why you don't have youth exchange?
Well, the general narrative is that it becomes too complicated to host another from another country, and we don't have the framework and enough members and this and that. Whether it's something that we can do in the future or not, I think it's something that we can definitely explore.
And past President Dominica has her hand up.
I think youth exchange kind of stopped for a long time in our district, but there is a youth exchange program now, which is led by past President Valentino. He's in the Bahamas. So it has started again, but it's sort of relatively new to the district because for a long time we have it in the district.
Just for clarification, Valentino heads up the like the study type exchanges. Unfortunately, our district is prohibited from having, in particular, inbound youth exchange for the last several years.
Understood. Thank you. And you know, Rissa, our club was the same way. We thought it was too complicated, that it involved some money and it involved a lot of tracking down of host parents. But what we did is my club, we have about 66, but my wife's club has about 175 members. So we've partnered up. So my club does a lot of the finding the host family, and my wife's club does about 2/3 of the payment that's required. So sometimes you could partner up for some of these programs to add value. You should never think that you can't do these things because you know, you think that your club doesn't have capacity. So that's just one thing to consider. And of course, engaging our folks, whether it be in a Rotary Community Corps, whether it be at district global grants, youth exchange, RILA programs, all those things add value. And when you add value, people are going to be more satisfied. So, but the main thing to remember is the number one reason people stay and are happy or they leave is because of the club experience. It's more important than anything else. And I'm so happy to hear that your club is actually doing those studies to see what they want, to see what your members want. That's wonderful. So the drivers of satisfaction, what makes your members happy? Well, if they feel comfortable with their club members, they're going to be happy. If you're actually having impact in your community, they're happy. No one joins a Rotary Club to do nothing. They join a Rotary Club to do things, mostly to do community service. So all those projects you do are making your folks happy. Confidence in club leadership is important to Rotarians, but it's even more important to Rotaractors. And we're going to see those numbers lately in just a little minute or two. Enjoyable club meetings. People like to have fun meetings. And they like to make sure that the meetings start on time and end on time. So what makes for a fun meeting? Well, friendship and interpersonal connection. That's very important. Learning new things from your guest speakers. You know, we've had presidents in my club where they might focus in one area. Maybe it's just nonprofit speakers, or it's just government speakers, you know, depending on what their source is. But it's really good to have a speaker committee and have a diverse group of speakers. Invite the scientist, invite the librarian, invite the author, and make sure that you respect your members' time, not just in meetings, but also in any kind of social event you have or any kind of service project. If you only need to have them there a half hour before the project starts, don't have them there an hour before. And you know, you can make it fun by giving them t-shirts or hats and, you know, recognizing people who actually do the work, which is easy to do. You can do it on your website. You can do it have a foam core board in front of the meeting. Now, different things are actually more important in certain areas of the world. Now, friendship and fellowship are important everywhere around the world, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, all over. But social status and reputation are particularly important in India, Africa, the Middle East, and Central and Southeast Asia. Social status and reputation are important. When you go to Korea, you'll notice that the people are in business suits, especially the men. They usually wear the theme tie with a blue shirt, and they'll wear their shiny shoes even when they go to a service project. And that's important to them. Now, professional connections and leadership development are important in India, Japan, Africa, Middle East, and Latin America. many people join and continue to stay in Rotary because they want to rub shoulders with people of significance in their industry. They want to advance, and they know Rotary is a good place to do that. International service is important in Africa, Middle East, and Latin America. Now, community service is pretty much important everywhere except Japan. They have other things that are important to them, especially vocational service. Japan is high into vocational service. And youth service is important in every region around the world except Japan. And then why are we talking about these things? Because it helps you concentrate on what's important if you really want to grow Rotary. Now, why do we want to grow Rotary? We want to grow Rotary because we want to have more hands and hearts to do that service. We don't want to do it on our own. Rotary is a wonderful thing. You want to share it with them. Now, what is important to different people also depends on how old they are. Under 40, they want to make an impact locally and globally, but they're focused more on professional connections. And they want to work with youth. In the category of 40 to 60, they're very much career oriented. Again, this is overgeneralization. We have to ask the individuals. We want to be hyper personalized and know what's important to every member, but it's good to have an overall concept. People from 40 to 60, they're focusing on their career. They're interested in community service and youth service. But when they get to be 60, they want more friendship and fellowship and service, but they also focus more on international service. So just think of people in different phases of their life. Younger people are looking to focus on their jobs. So they're 40 to 60, they're focusing on their community. They want their community better. They're focusing on their family. More than 60, then they want to do the international service. And of course, everyone wants friendship and fellowship all the way through. Now, what's important is it's different if you're in a Rotary Club or a Rotaract Club. Do you all have a Rotaract Club as part of your club? Okay, great. And how many people in your Rotaract Club? Is it a community club or university-based club?
It's a community.
Okay, great. Wonderful, wonderful. They say that those are more stable. My son goes off to college. We only have one and only son. He goes off to college on Sunday. We drive him up there. And he's going to Duluth, Minnesota, which is about 3.5 hours north of where we are. Just far enough for him to be happy and just close enough for my wife to be happy. But he is all excited because they had at Twin Ports, they have all the big ships, the 1,000-foot ships that bring in the steel and the coal in the Great Lakes area of the U.S. And he's restarting up the Rotaract Club there, the Twin Port Rotaract Club, with the help of some PDG friends from that district to the north of us. So he's really excited. So the reasons why Rotaractors join is slightly different. Some of them are the same, but some of them are different. Again, you have all the above, which we won't ask again. You have less join for community service. You have less join for friendship. But what's interesting is the big green bar at the right, the leadership skills, that is very important to Rotaractors. Rotaractors join Rotaract more so for professional development and learning how to be a leader than Rotarians do. Now that's why they join. Why they stay is also a little bit different. The personal connections, if you look between the two, leadership skills are the most important thing for a Rotaractor, and professional connections are much higher as well. So it's just, if you want to be successful with Rotaractors, we have to have mentors. We have to have opportunities for them to meet people in different industries. We have to make sure that we teach them how to speak, teach them how to run a board meeting, teach them how to be good leaders in the community. Now, these are what satisfies Rotaractors. So the drivers of overall Rotaractor satisfaction. Confidence in club leadership is so important. Both Rotarians and Rotaractors want good leaders in their club, but it's more important to have really strong leadership, especially with the president and the board of a Rotaract club, than it is in a Rotary club. Rotarians get leadership throughout the club, but Rotaractors really look to their president for leaders. And that's why so often Rotaract clubs, especially during COVID, we lost a lot because they didn't have strong leaders during that time. They also want their clubs to make sure that they have positive impact in the community. And of course, all the other things. But most importantly, that confidence in club leadership, having things impact in their community. So they might have to have more service projects than even a Rotary Club because that's important to them. Now, why Rotaractors leave is different than why Rotarians leave. We cited the overall feel and the overall environment as a reason why, the main reason why Rotarians leave. But Rotaractors, the personal circumstances are real for them. Think about where they are in their life. They're in a transition stage. A lot of them are changing jobs. A lot of them are getting married and having children. So when it comes to the personal circumstances, the time commitment, the monetary commitment, those are more of a reasons why a Rotaract would leave than it would be for a Rotarian. And they want to make sure if they are in a Rotaract club, that Rotaract club is doing something. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be making blankets while they have beer and pizza at the holiday times, but they need to be doing something or they won't stay. So if we really want to keep Rotaract and we really want to grow the Rotaract club that you have, we need to increase opportunities for vocational service. What do you guys do? Do you do anything in that area now for your Rotaract club?
Our Rotaract Club is very independent in its way. It's very dynamic. It does a lot of projects within the community. They're actually putting on a health fair this month. So I would say from what I've seen, and I've been with the club for about 2 years, well, going on to 2 years, they're very dynamic and they're quite independent from what we do as well.
That's wonderful. And that means they're probably going to be more successful. I told my son it would be better if he had a community-based Rotaract club than a university-based. In North America, we're seeing a lot of success with the vocational schools, the colleges that are only 2-year programs instead of 4-year programs, because a lot of individuals in those programs are studying things such as you being a beautician or fixing auto bodies, from car crashes. And those students stay in their community. So they actually want to join the community. They want to learn how to do those skills and they stay in the community. At universities, what you have is you have a lot of people who get their education and then they leave. And the larger universities, it's hard to actually find academia who will actually take their time to be sponsors. But in these VOTEC schools, these technical schools that are the shorter 2-year programs, they usually have staff and teachers that are really excited about it and get involved. So that's one thing you might want to focus on if you're forming new Rotaract clubs. So overall, if you want to take a few points away from here today, how do we drive membership growth so we have more people to do that service? We have to understand what they want. And then we actually have to give them what they want. I mean, Rotary is like any other business. If we give people what they want, they stay. If they don't, then they're going to walk away and do something else. We also have to make sure that our members are engaged. We have to make sure that they're coming to projects, they're coming to our socials, and that they're making friends. A lot of people ask me, well, how do we get young people to join our club? Well, the best thing to do is to bring them in groups, bring in 3 or 4 at a time. Give them a class project where they can get to know each other. They could actually work on something together. That way they strengthen their friendships right up front and they know somebody when they come to the meetings. We can improve our meeting experience. We can make it more fun. We can ask them what they want at the meetings. And we have to always be inclusive. We have to make them feel like they belong. And of course, I've sent this slideshow already to Dominica, but these are resources that you can use. Well, thank you so much again for having me here. It warms my heart to know that people care about membership. We all love Rotary, and it's great to know that you want to share it with other people. I hope the discussion continues. And if you ever need my help or President Stephanie's help, we're always here. Excited to be working with all of you in the future. I agree with Dominica. I've agreed with everyone that everything said, but I've got lots of friends on this call that I wouldn't have had but for this technology. Because even when you travel to these places, you don't get a chance to meet everyone. So I'm excited to be your friend and excited to have you all as my friend. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you.